Hey, before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification button. Hey, what's up Transformers fans, my fellow geek gals and geek guys. Welcome to another episode of MixelPix Transformers Time Warp. I'm Mike, and before we get started, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified when the next video comes out, and enter a comment in the comments below if you want to be a part of the discussion. All right, with that aside, let's get to it. So today's episode is featuring this guy from Power of the Primes line. This was a subline of the Generations toy line, so if you go looking for it, it's Generations Power of the Primes. And this is Optimus Prime, which dates back to 2017, the year in which I started my Masterpiece collection. This toy line was tied in with the internet-based limited animation series Transformers Power of the Primes. The final chapter in the Prime Wars Trilogy, which was released on May 1st, 2018, which means that the toy line actually came out ahead of the show. Transformers Power of the Primes can currently be seen on roosterteeth.com as of this day, August 8, 2021. Just search for Transformers and select Season 3 for Power of the Primes. So this toy line, Power of the Primes, if you notice in the right-hand corner of the box, it says Generations. So this was a subline of the Generations toy line. Therefore, this is Generation Power of the Primes. If you're having problems finding Power of the Primes toys, look for Generations. And it had a tagline of Choose Your Prime, because the toy line featured Titan Master type figures, which represent the sparks of the original 13 Primes. Now, this is not a Masterpiece toy, so you might ask, why did I get it? Well, you wouldn't be able to tell it by the front of the box, which just shows Optimus Prime, makes no mention of anything else. But if you turn the box around, you will see that this box contains the largest, most G1 accurate version of Orion Pax, the original form of Optimus Prime, which has ever been produced by Hasbro, Takara, Tomy, or any unofficial company to date, as far as my research has shown me. To that point, TFW2005.com's forum thread, the Masterpiece Character Guide by user Eyes Covered, lists Orion Pax as having no official MP yet, and lists no potential substitutes as it does for other characters. So, what are we left with as collectors if you want something from the Cybertronian era that actually represents Orion Pax? Not much. So that's why I went for this thing, and let's take a look at it. Included in this review is this re-unboxing, because I have already unboxed the figure, along with some gap filler accessories that I bought from Uncle Billy and eBay. And as you can see on the right, there are a few Prime Masters shown, not included with Optimus or Orion Pax here, but those do fit in Optimus's chest where the Matrix of Leadership would go. All right, let's check it out. Whoa, whoops. A little unceremonious, but there you go. You got Optimus Prime. So we have two instruction booklets. Nothing else inside. Aha, we've got a couple of accessories there. The Matrix and his gun. A good looking collector's card. And Optimus Liege Maximo. We've got our little accessories from Uncle Billy. And the artwork inside is pretty nice. Nicely printed, lots of cool stuff inside there. Matrix, symbols of the Primes, Transformers, Autobot symbol, and nothing much at the bottom there. Nothing much at the bottom there. And before we go further, here is the Matrix. Very cool looking. As you can see, it's actually letting light through from the back. So that's cool, got some light piping going on. And Optimus Prime's gun, which actually comes apart so that we can give 2 guns to Orion Pax, as we saw on the back of the box. So while I didn't get this figure to be Optimus Prime, one of the things that did impress me was the fact that this Optimus Prime actually bears a really, really strong resemblance and size to the MP-10 Optimus Prime. While I still really like the MP-10 way above the Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime here, they made the Power of the Prime's Optimus Prime MP scale. So that is amazing. We'll have to see if that MP scale holds for Orion Pax or not. But that is a cool thing to note. I was very impressed at the detailing that they really knocked off from MP-10. I mean, you know, just the waist details, the vent grids on his shins. They even did a little bit of throwback to the G1 Optimus with these stickers here with the bright colors and basic shapes, as you can see at the knee. A little bit more fancy here on the forearm, but definitely a callback to that G1 Optimus Prime. Right down to some tail light stickers on his feet. So that was really unexpected, and I was surprised that I liked Optimus in his Optimus form more than I thought I would. Now for the real reason we're here, and it's as simple as popping this guy out, I believe, if I remember correctly. Oh, maybe not. Ah, just kidding. Let me check the directions. Okay, so you're supposed to push down and out, and his head does come with it, so the whole thing is just supposed to pop out, and I guess I am supposed to push it down. Actually, no. I need to read directions. Use the release tab like you're supposed to. There we go. All right, that always scares me, you know, especially when you haven't done it before and you're not sure if you're actually breaking plastic. But here you go. Here's the mass that will be Orion Pax. And here's the remaining shell of Optimus Prime. Ah! So he definitely is lighter than MP-10. He's plastic. I guess he's got a little bit of metal here, as you can see in the shoulder. You know, he's got some screws and whatnot, but mostly plastic. These ankles here seem to be a little bit, not loose, but you know, you just have to be careful that, you know, when you pose him, you're making sure that those get articulated properly. And his knee bend, let's see, he's got over 90 degrees, but he can't lift his thigh at a complete 90 degrees. He's got ankle rockers. Inside good, outside not so good. He's got no knee twist. He does have a thigh twist, so that's cool. Let's see, how about kicking back? He can go almost flat back, but he can definitely run. You can get that knee bent more than 90 degrees. How about these arms? Let's see, his arms raise up. They pop up these panels, but they do raise up at a very, very high angle. He can do more than just the Y in the YMCA song. He can go straight up. So decent articulation there. Rotates 360. No butterfly, well, he has a butterfly joint if you take this whole panel with it. So there's a butterfly joint. He's got a bicep rotation, and he's got an elbow bend there. Single elbow bend, but it goes beyond 90 degrees, as you can see. So good articulation there too. Waist swivel, no waist swivel at all. So there's a major difference between him and MP-10 as far as articulation goes. No waist swivel. And let me get him standing here. And there he is, Orion Pax. I'm really impressed with the guy. On camera, maybe he doesn't look as cool, but I think in person he looks really nice. And still, you know, it's not an MP product, so it's not at that level of production and design, but he's got some nice details like this face paint here, looking really nice. Silver, the eyes are blue, it's not light piped, but it's good looking. Really clean, and I don't know, I think it's really nice. The chest detailing here is very cool too. The fact that they went to the trouble of doing this styling, this tooling on this clear plastic chest piece is also very nice. Some good yellow detailing here in the insets. And overall, just like, you know, where there are paint apps, really darn clean paint apps. One thing about his articulation that I don't like is that his knees are a little bit loosey-goosey. Gonna need to use some Kiki or some other kind of joint stiffener for that. His head articulation is fairly limited. He's on a ball joint, so he can tilt down. There goes his knees. So he can tilt up a little bit, not much, because he's got this weird, I don't know what that might be for his alt mode, but that loop there, and that's keeping him from tilting his head back. And rocking his head side to side, not much going on there. But hey, you know what? It's Orion Pax, and it's the closest thing to an MP that we've got. Non-articulating hands. He can't go full flight here with his arms to the sides. His shoulders get blocked here. He can do full 360. There we go. He's got a bicep rotation, and he's got a double elbow joint, so he can definitely collapse the arm there. Can bend to 90 degrees and further if you use that second elbow joint. So nice articulation on the arms. On the legs, his hips have these carriages where the hip skirts are, and they are non-moving hip skirts, so the whole hip just rotates, and that's got to be for his transformation. He can not go out to the full Van Damme because he's got this little tab here. He can rotate at the hip. He has no knee swivel. His knee can bend to 90. His toe can collapse, so it definitely can point. He has no rocker, so no rocker there. No rocker. All right. So he is a little bit back heavy because he carries this backpack that goes into the larger Optimus here. So the instructions, I believe, show it to be like this, but if you want to disguise it a little bit more, make it a little bit less noticeable, then, you know, you could do something like that. You still see wheels, but at least you don't see the full chest of Optimus Prime. So, that being said, he's got a little bit of a backpack either way, but I think he's pretty darn cool. Oh yeah, can't forget about his weapons. And there he is, double gunning it. Orion Pax never looked so militaristic in the cartoon. By the way, Orion Pax's one and only appearance in all of the G1 cartoon series was in the Season 2 episode, War Dawn.
Hey, never seen you guys around before. I'm Orion Pax.
What do you do here?
Oh, we unload the energy shipments from the power plant upriver. And that's Dion. He's my best friend.
Suckering more people into doing your work for you, Orion?
Very funny. And this is Ariel.
As I was putting his weapons on him, I discovered that I missed an articulation point, and that is this side flap, which serves as a butterfly joint if you want it to. So he does have a butterfly for his arm articulation as well. So that adds a little bit more posability to this guy. perhaps making him even more of a good stand-in for a Masterpiece Orion Pax. And if X-Transbots, Fans Toys, any of you third-party companies are listening, please make a G1 style MP-scale Orion Pax. All right, we have bot mode, check. We have articulation, check. We have weapons and accessories, check. Now it's time for those accessory kits that I got from Uncle Billy and eBay. They are gap filler kits that are gonna fill in parts on both Orion Pax and on Optimus Prime. I believe it's gonna fill in these thigh gaps here on Orion Pax, and I think that might be the only thing that it fills in on him. Optimus Prime has these huge gaps in his thighs as well, and I think that might be the only thing that we have to fill in on him. Okay, yes, Shockwave Lab, the SL-64, that's one of the models. So if you're looking for gap fillers, look for that one, as well as Optimus Prime himself, and I don't know if I see a model on that. But filling parts also from Shockwave Lab, I believe. And this just happens to be really, really heat faded. I'm gonna have to pop them off of their sprues here. Okay, so we've got 4 gap filler pieces. All right, that goes in there. Cool. And I know some of you people out there are enterprising and creative and technically savvy, so you're like, well, I can just 3D print those, but I am grateful to Shockwave Lab for being there for people like me who do not 3D print or understand 3D rendering CAD kind of programs and stuff. So yeah. If you've got the skills to make these kind of things yourself, more power to you. My hat's off. There we go. And last but not least, yeah. Okay, so doesn't, you know, fill in everything, but that's a pretty substantial change. I mean, when you're no longer seeing those dark recesses in his thighs, you know, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Shockwave Lab. Now we do seem to have a bunch more pieces for Orion Pax. I'm a little bit flummoxed. We'll see. Whoa. All right, so we've got like 6 or 7 pieces here. I don't know what this little tiny thing is right there on the tape. I don't know if that's just some junk that accidentally got stuck to the tape or what, but I'm gonna see how these all go in and then show you the finished product. Now the only bummer here is he's got this nice metallic paint for his thigh, or actually molded plastic, right? And this is just a plain gray, so I'm gonna have to paint these, whereas the other pieces actually came pre-painted. So I'll fit these, but they're not gonna match. Okay, without the gap filler pieces painted, it's obvious to see where they go. Here they are on the inside of the leg. I suppose that doesn't look too bad, but I just discovered, and this is my first experience with gap filler kits, so if you haven't done these before either, you know, they're apparently not that hard to do, except for maybe the painting, and I've just become aware that there are Gundam paint markers that people use for their Gundam kits, and I'm wondering if I can use those colors and those paints on this plastic. If so, it shouldn't be too hard to match, hopefully, or at least closely match, the silver and the blue on his legs. But even without that, I mean, look at that. It does look better. Those gaps are not showing. Those black recesses, those shadowy places in his legs are not there anymore. And he just looks more complete. So thanks again to Shockwave Lab. All right, now that we've seen Orion Pax, let's see how he stacks up against our MP-scale comparison standard, MP-10 Optimus Prime. Right off the bat, I'd say he looks a little bit small next to MP-10, but let's check the scale comparison accurately by checking with the freelance graphic scale chart for the G1 characters done by Mike Lorber. Here we have Optimus Prime, and here we have Orion Pax. And as you can see here in this image, Orion Pax should come up to about mid-chest on Optimus Prime. So if we look back at our toys, we can see that Orion Pax is actually too small in comparison to MP-10 to be in scale for the Masterpiece line. However, he's only about 1.5 heads to 2 heads smaller than he's actually supposed to be, which would give him a little bit more bulk and substantial presence, but he's the closest thing to a Masterpiece we have right now. As far as my collection is concerned, this is a good stand-in for Orion Pax, unless somebody else comes out with a better option. Alt mode, cab, and trailer. On camera, I think he looks better than he does in person. You've got some pieciness that I don't like, unfinished gaps. For instance here, there is no covering for the head that flipped down, no covering for these arms that folded up, and they just kind of get packed back there. Here's that tab on the back of Orion's head that doesn't allow him to flip his head back because it is the hitch for the trailer. So that's unfortunate, but I don't see myself really using this in alt mode anyway. There's gaps here in the front. You know, one thing that bothers me about trailers that transform into things is that they have all these gaps and not gaps, but panel lines. And to me, when there's panel lines and gaps, it's just like, what kind of trailer is that? You know, if I were to show somebody this tractor trailer rig, they'd probably be like, what's up with the cab and what's up with that trailer? They don't look like real tractor trailer units. So I don't have much use for this. So all in all, this Power of the Primes Optimus Prime doesn't really do anything for me. I already have my MP-10, and the only thing that was impressive about seeing this Optimus Prime really was the surprise that it actually is pretty much Masterpiece size. I mean, it's really comparable to Masterpiece size. And so if you don't have an MP-10, but you've got a Power of the Primes Optimus Prime, you don't have an MP-44, then just rest assured that you have an MP-scale Optimus Prime in your collection until you can get one of those if you want. I need to make a correction here. The instruction booklet, though it showed one of the Power of the Primes in it, the figure does not come with one of those 13 primes. The figure comes with your run-of-the-mill, boring Matrix. So that's what you get with Optimus Prime. And it does come out so that you can fit the Matrix holder with a Prime. And I'm not sure exactly which way this is supposed to go, but upside down, right side up, whatever. And that little tab just goes there, and you can reinsert. And so apparently you can put any Prime, oops, upside down, any Prime in this Matrix holder so that he can then be a part of Optimus Prime, or excuse me, so that they can then be a part of Optimus Prime, he or she. So if you like the idea of that series and you want to collect all those primes, there you go. That's a collection goal you could possibly have. One thing that would have been a nice touch is to have had those hands molded in blue or painted blue at least. So at least it would match Optimus Prime from a G1 perspective, as well as match MP-10 better. In conclusion, this Power of the Primes Optimus Prime with Orion Pax is a really, really cool figure to have if you want Orion Pax in a size that's close to Masterpiece scale. As we saw, it's not exactly Masterpiece scale, he's a little too short, but it's the closest thing we've got to an actual Orion Pax. So I'm looking forward to someone coming out with a good G1 style Masterpiece scale Orion Pax, whether it be Takara Tomy or Hasbro officially, or unofficially through a third-party company like Fans Toys or Bad Cube or X-Transbots. I mean, with the releases, of the reveals rather, that X-Transbots has been doing lately with Runabout and Runamuck, with Punch and Counterpunch, with the 2 Quintesson prosecutors, with the Omnibots, and so on. I could see them easily slotting that thing in there at some point. And my only concern right now is the quality issue that they had with Cup and the delay of their Springer, their Virtus. That was a bummer to find out that that was going to be delayed. So those concerns aside, if they can prove that they can continue to make good characters and that they're not just doing a bunch of reveals that are going to come up with problems along the way, then I'd be happy for X-Transbots to do it, because they are putting out, as I think Tidarium Hanger was pointing out, more obscure characters. I'm hoping X-Transbots can really deliver, and that someone will deliver this Orion Pax in Masterpiece scale. All right, that's it, Geek Gals and Geek Guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of MixelPix Transformers Time Warp. I'm Mike. I hope you've enjoyed warping with me through time to past Transformers in December 2017, when this toy line of Power of the Primes was revealed as part of the Prime Wars Trilogy animation series. And if you've got any questions or thoughts that you'd like to share, hit me up in the comments below. If you're a frequent watcher and you haven't subscribed, why not hit that subscribe button and then go to the MixelPix homepage and hit that notification bell as well, so that you're notified every single time a new video pops up. And please, if you like this, hit that like button. If you didn't like it, hit that not like button. Not like button? I mean the thumbs down button. And until next time, happy collecting, everybody.